What's up, you guys? So today we're finishing up the quadratic formula. We've practiced the factoring part. We've practiced the discriminant. We practiced solving for x, and we practiced setting it up. So this is the final piece on it. Now, so when you guys are when you guys are given the form like a quadratic in the form ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. Now the key things is they're all like everything is plus and plus and they equal to 0. So once you have it in this form, you guys can use the quadratic formula, which is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now, I stress this enough on you guys. I'm not going to say stress, but practice. Practice just memorizing the formula. I know it's rare for me to tell you guys to memorize a formula, but this will help you out so much in the next upcoming years. Okay, so once you have these two, you have that quadratic set up in that form, you could just plug it all in and then do some algebra. All right, so let's just practice and see how it goes. So, solve the quadratic, solve for x in the given quadratic. All right, 8x squared plus 5x minus 2. Now, you guys can always try to use the other methods. Try to isolate x, which in this case is going to be pretty tough because we have two of them. Or try to factor it, which if you factored it, you would be like, okay, well, what's going to add to 5 and multiply to negative 16? Which you're going to quickly find out, nothing. Because nothing does. So that means when that happens and nothing else works, you must use a quadratic formula. So you can even bypass it and even use it that way, but still. All right, so let's just set it up. So it's equal to 0, and almost everything is set up nice. Let's use pink. So add the opposite. All right, 8x squared plus 5x plus negative 2. Okay, cool. So we have everything we need for the quadratic formula. So a is equal to 8, b is equal to 5, and c is equal to negative 2. Okay, so let's set it up. Let's use purple. All right, so this would be x is equal to negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 5 squared minus 4, 8, and then negative 2. Okay, all that's underneath the root, all over 2 times 8. Okay, cool. So that's set up. Now, before we do anything, let's look at the discriminant. Let's get all that figured out first. So the discriminant will tell us how many solutions there are, if there are any solutions. So we're going to take that, we're going to do that right here. So let's do this. 5 squared minus 4 times 8 times negative 2. Okay, so let's see. 5 squared is 25 minus 4 times 8 is 32 times negative 2. So that would be 25 minus 32 times negative 2 is negative 64. Okay, so we have minus and negative, which means we add the opposite. 25 plus 64. And then that's going to be 89. Okay, 89. Now, what this means, since that green part came out to a positive number, that means there's going to be two solutions here. And then with the two, so we know there's going to be an answer. Now, once we get the discriminant, all we actually need to do is just switch it out for that green part. Because that green part, the discriminant, we just did all the algebra for it, and we know that 5 squared minus 4 times 8 times negative 2 is equal to positive 89. Just switch it out. Make your lives a little bit easier. So let's take that and plug it in. So now we have, I'll use the colors for this, x is equal to negative 5 plus or minus the square root. We already did the discriminant. It's positive 89. Okay, so now we know that. All over 2a. 2 times 8. Okay, so now that means x is equal to negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 89 over 16. Okay, now For right now, you guys, I know I showed you guys with practicing like reducing down the roots where you guys do the whole factor tree, but right now I just want you to get here. If you guys can get to this part right here, you are golden. So since there's two answers, that plus or minus is going to be the key. So right there. So we need to break it up into two answers. Yes, you need to. Bummer, dude. Okay, so x is equal to -5. We'll do minus root 89 over 16, and also -5, whoa, hi, -5 plus root 89 over 16. That's what we're looking for right there. Now again, normally you would need, like, if your root doesn't, like, isn't a perfect root, like if it was root 81, I would expect you guys to go through and finish it up all the way, but it's not a perfect root. So right now I just want you to get to this part. See, look how, like, oh man, come on. Hello? iPad, there we go. So once you guys get here, you just need to simplify it as much as possible. And then there you go. That's it. Now, again, this is just a number. -5 minus root 89 all divided by 16 is just a number. I know you guys are like, I don't want you to give me the decimal part. The decimal is an irrational number, and it's going to be ugly, and it's a pain in the neck, especially if you have to take this number and work with it later on different stuff. So get to this part, and that's what I'm looking for. Okay, so let's do this one. All right, solve for x in the given quadratic. 3x squared minus 6x plus 9 is equal to 0. Now, so is it set up nicely? Like, for all these problems, just use the quadratic formula. Don't try and jump the gun on it. So, all right, it's set up in a quadratic, and it's equal to 0, which means let's use go straight to the quadratic formula. A is equal to 3, B is equal to -6, the opposite, and C is equal to 9. All right, so let's see. X is equal to -6, because negative B, and B is -6. -6 plus or minus the square root of -6 squared minus 4 times 3 times 9 all over 2a. 2 times 3. Okay, so just like the last problem, first let's look at the discriminant. Let's see how many solutions, if there are going to be any. All right, so we'll take my discriminant, we'll work on it right here. So -6 squared minus 4 times 3 times 9. Okay, so let's see. -6 squared is going to be positive 36 minus 4 times 3 is 12 times 9. Okay, so 36 minus 12 times 9, well, 12 times 10 is 120. Take away 12, 108. Minus 108. Okay. All right, now I'm going to stop right here because 36 minus 108. If I take 108 from 36, I'm going to get a negative number. And because my discriminant is a negative number, that means there are no real solutions. So, discriminant is negative. So, there are no real solutions. So, discriminant is negative, so there are no real solutions. You guys can even write down just no real solutions. Okay, now, there you go. That's pretty much the entire part. It's just, now, one thing I want to stress with you guys on, I've just seen it over the years, is when you guys are taking these values right here, when you're taking those and you're plugging them into your quadratic formula, just double check your signs on it. Like, I screwed up on my last video. And I had to delete it because I messed up one sign and it completely threw off the answer. So just when you guys plug it in, just double check. Am I plugging in the correct stuff? Okay. All right, let's move on. Now, for this one, notice how it's not written correctly. You have a quadratic on the left side, but on the right side, it's not equal to 0. When it's not equal to 0, it just means we need to make it equal to 0. So to make it equal to 0, we need to, let's add 4x to both sides. Okay, so let's see, that would be 6x squared plus 10x plus 9 is equal to, those cancel out, and we are left with 5. Now let's subtract 5 from both sides. Minus 5, and then that would be 6x squared plus 10x. 9 minus 5 is positive 4, equal to 0. Okay. All right. Cool. Now it's equal to 0. Now let's set up the quadratic formula. I'm going to go back to, what color did I use? I'll use purple. No, I use blue. Okay, so let's see. It's equal to 0. So A is equal to 6. B is equal to 10. C is equal to 4. Okay, got all that from my quadratic right there. All right, and it's equal to 0. So x equals negative 10, so negative b, plus or minus the square root of 10 squared minus 4 times 6 times 4. Yep, a is 6, c is 4, all over 2 times 6. Okay, cool. Now, again, just like the last problem, we did the discriminant and we saw that there was no solution. So wrong one. Let's start with the discriminant and see what we get. So let's see, I'm going to write my discriminant right here. 10 squared minus 4 times 6 times 4. All right, let's see. I think this is going to be, no, all right. So let's see, 10 squared is 100. Minus 6 times 4 is 24 times 4. Okay. 24 times 4, 24 is 4, times 2 is 48. 48 times 2 is 96. So this is going to be 100 minus 96. 100 minus 96 is 4. Okay, cool. Which means my discriminant is a positive number, which means I'm going to have two solutions. So let's see here. All right. Now that I have that, let's see. Let's plug that back in. So let's see. Okay. So we have x is equal to negative 10 plus or minus the square root of, oops, I'm going to do this in green so we can see where I'm plugging that in at, 4 all over, well, I'm just going to do 2a. 2 times 6 is 12, so all over 12. Oh, that's nice. Well, the square root of 4 is 2, so we know it's going to be x equals negative 10 plus or minus 2 over 12. Okay, I'm going to scroll down for a second. I'm going to get rid of this. No, stop it. Go away. Okay, move that down so we can have more room to work with. Okay, now, that 2 looks funny. All right, there we go. All right, cool, because we know the square root of 4 is 2. Now, with that being said, we have two answers, so we need to break it up into two different pieces. X is equal to negative 10 minus 2 over 12, and negative 10 plus 2 over 12. Okay, so let's see. Cool, that looks good. X is equal to negative 10 plus negative 2 is negative 12 over 12. And negative 10 plus 2 is negative 8 over 12. Sweet, that came out nicely. All right, so x is equal to negative 12 divided by 12 is negative 1. Negative 1 and 8 and 12, 4 goes into both 8 and 12, so that would be negative 2 over 3. That wasn't that bad. So, and there you go. Now, So you guys can see, like, it's just all, it's the hardest part about it, honestly, is just setting it up properly. So in my opinion, I feel like this is the hardest part right there, is plugging everything in. Once you get past that, it's just tedious algebra. If you guys need to use calculators for doing like this right there, or double checking your math, go for it, absolutely. So, use a calculator where you need to use computation just to make yourselves feel more confident. And then after that, it's just one step at a time. Notice my work is clean and organized. This is what's going to help you out as well, keeping your work clean and organized. Now, here's what I want you guys to do. I want you to complete this one. So solve for x in the given quadratic. 7x squared minus 4x minus 82 is equal to 5x squared minus 12. All right, so this is the problem I want you guys to complete. I want you to complete it and email me. So you guys have an exam on this 1 week from today. And then I'll be posting a study guide tomorrow and Thursday and then Friday is a mandatory check-in. All right, so if you guys have any questions, shoot me an email, but let's finish strong on this. School year's almost over. All right, take it easy, you guys.